Hey, everybody. Once again, you are tuned in to TWID Radio. If you haven't been told or just didn't know, TWID stands for that's what I do. And as long as you're breathing, I guarantee you're doing something. We're bringing you the real, raw, the relevant tackling news, dating, marriage, sports, and more. This is where the black community connects, grows, and thrives. That's what we do in our tribes, circles, and communities. So hit that subscribe button and join the TWID revolution today. Good evening, family. Once again, let's get into this. We're going to be talking about the so-called Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, and we're going to be reacting to her video. Okay. And the title of the video is, let me see, The Strength in Submission with Dr. So she's talking about submission. Let's hear this.
Oh my gosh. But did she have fun when she got there?
She had a time. She put her little bathing suit on and she was just, we went dolphin watching and swimming with the dolphins.
Yeah.
It was adorable. We had a good time.
I love it. You're very open about dating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We spoke offline about you're from Los Angeles, but you are here working a lot. You talked about how the dating, it's not really a lot going on here.
It's not.
We can talk about
you
that
know what? And also, I'm in session from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I leave at 5:15 to go on set at 6 to film my new talk show. And then I'm home at 11:30.
And it's True Talks.
And so it's called True Talks on Fox. Thank you. So I don't think I've really been getting out as much. I know at home in LA, I have this thing where I practice what I preach. I've committed to get out minimum twice a week to do something non-work related and super social and be in the environment with the men who I would want to date. And so I make sure I do that at home in LA. But in Atlanta, I haven't done it. But also I'm like, where do I go? I don't have any friends. I don't know anyone. But I don't see a lot of.
Ma'am, everybody knows you. That's the thing. Everybody knows you, Dr. So-called Bryant. Everybody knows you. So it's going to be hard for you to date. Really hard. Plus you're 40 with no kids. It's just going to be extremely hard. So, I mean, what do you want to hear?
Out where I'm like, ooh, I want to flirt back or hi, how you doing?
That's so funny. You said something that stood out. Making sure that you put yourself in the places to attract the type of man you want. I just talked about that because my friends, when I was looking to date, they were like, "Well, where are you going?" I'm like, "Nowhere." It's like, well,
wait, looking to date, you ain't dating no more?
I'm dating now, but like I wasn't like I'm dating someone.
Oh. Yeah. I love it. Exclusive. She dated someone. Oh my God.
So it was like one of those things.
Ma'am, exclusive, but you're 40. These women are in their 40s and they're still talking about dating. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, she's never even been married. Just face the facts that you feel as though no man is good enough for you. Just say that.
Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't go anywhere. And it was then I was like, I have to start putting myself in places. So what are some of the places that you go to attract the man that you want?
Oh, girl, so I do rooftops.
I love your rooftop.
I know. I do rooftops. I'm president of NAACP in Los Angeles. And so I go to a lot of political events. I do. I go to a lot of, this was election year. So I was at a lot of different campaigns that, my Cal group.
Ma'am, so you really don't even have time for a man. You're the president of the NAACP in Los Angeles. The president. You don't even have time. You don't even have time to be in a relationship with a man. You're the president of the NAACP. So what type of time do you have?
Put together fundraisers. We did fundraisers for our mayor, Karen Bass, and there were a lot of really good-looking, men there who were contributors to the campaign. So we know they got some money to contribute.
Come on.
we know they know their politics, so they're intelligent. You know, they can do some good pillow talk.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there and met a couple guys, went on some dates. And I do have guys that I go on dates with.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to them because they're all amazing men. But there hasn't been anyone that I've been on dates with that I want to just continue to date for the rest of my life. And
so basically, I'm not ready to get married. I've been on dates, but I'm not ready to get married. Okay. At 40 years old, ma'am, at 40 years old, you can't be that picky.
I've been saying for the past, since I turned 42 in September, I'm like, I'm in my choosing stage. I'm going to choose.
Yes.
But I ain't got no one come that I want to choose. And it's not to say they're not amazing and they're not really good men.
What's
it's
missing?
Just,
like, what are those things that you're like, that's
so
what I'm looking for?
I love this. So I have this thing where I tell my clients this all the time, even the ones who are already married. I said, did you choose marriage or did you choose him or her?
Why are you not investing in tax liens? No, seriously. Why are you not investing into one of the...
Because see, I'm not a woman who's choosing marriage, right? I had a father, and no pun intended to the fatherless girls, because it's a hard space to navigate, and you know, I don't understand that personally, but I understand that because I've been helping women navigate that for 16 plus years. But I had a father. He was participatory. He was my best friend. He doted on me. He loved me. I was his everything. I was one of his biggest investments besides all the other 6 of us that he has. But I said that to say, so I'm not choosing marriage because I need a title validation or something that I can just hang up like an ornament. I'm really choosing a person. And so when you choose a person, that's when marriage lasts. Because if I'm choosing you, I'm plugged into you. And that means that I literally can't go outside of you and find another you. But if I choose marriage, I can take that title and put that on any.
Ma'am, this makes no sense though. You've never been married, first of all. And people like this will let you get on the platform and talk as if you've been married. You're not married. You've never been married. At what point do we look at her and say she's not qualified to give advice?
Anybody, right? True. So that's how marriage is able to dissipate so quick, and the divorce rate is so high, because it's like, look, I was choosing marriage to begin with. I never chose you anyway, so I can just go choose me another pretty thing, like you put marriage on her and be in a marriage, but not in a relationship. And so when I'm out with men, I'm like, 2 things. Would I want my son to be like you? If it's a no, then it's a no. Can I really choose you? Like when things get hard, am I willing to just forgive you about everything? Because I'm not leaving my husband. And that's why I don't think women or men who stay through anything except abuse.
Ma'am, you've never been married, but you're giving all this advice.
Envy asked me on Breakfast Club, he said, do you think if a woman stays in a marriage after she's been cheated on, she's dumb? I said, I don't think she's dumb. No, that's her husband. That's her family. If she wants to stay, I think she needs to get the right tools to learn how to be in an infidelity relationship, right? Because there's
Now, what she's saying, it sounds good. My only objection is, ma'am, you have no experience. You have no experience. It'd be different if you were married giving this advice, but you've never been married.
Takes a shift in who you are as a woman, so that you can still be submissive to this man and still treat him as a king and not see him as less valuable in that. So for me, it's like, will I, God forbid, you end up stepping out on me or doing things that dishonor me because you're human, not because you're a bad man. Will I want to work that out with you because you're just my person? When that presents itself, I'm locking in. I'm having babies. And I don't condone the cheating, but I'm not leaving my husband. I'll leave a man. I'm not leaving my husband.
Your husband, exactly. I was watching something on, all these, it's a lot of relationship talk on Instagram, and I cannot remember who it was, but he was saying that marriages, I think it was the pastor of 2918, Philip. Mitchell, I think I don't want to misquote his name.
Yeah.
But I was a pastor here, and he was saying that marriages can be stronger sometimes after infidelity if both partners work towards it. And they can you learn more about yourselves and what you can handle, but then going in and doing the work together to change you, sometimes you can come out even stronger on the other side of that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because I always say the Bible says seek wise counsel. And when it's referring to seeking wise counsel when it comes to marriage, folks have been married 15, 20, 30, 40 years. They're not teaching you how to be happy. They're teaching you how to stick through the BS that's going to come with life, whether you're single or married.
Right.
No matter what you're doing, life is going to life. And they're teaching you that when y'all get to this space, when you get to this Red Sea, don't get weary and well doing, it'll split. Right. And so it's telling you when you get to the other side, and there's a promised land or a wilderness depending on what you choose. And if you choose to complain after the Red Sea has split, God will give you manna and water to help you sustain that wilderness, but he'll put you in that wilderness for 40 years before you get to the promised land. And so that's why I said it's not about a woman or a man being dumb for staying through anything in their marriage or even relationship. It's about, do you have the effective tools to not end up in a wilderness 20, 30 more years in your marriage because you're resentful for staying with this person for what you know they did. How do you actively forgive? Because forgiveness is an action word. And how can you still love them and honor them when they just dishonored you? Because that's real.
But ma'am, everything you're saying sounds good, except you haven't put it in practice. That's the only thing, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. You got to put this in practice. You've never been married. Everything you're saying, it sounds good. Now you're giving advice. I don't know if it's true, but it sounds like something you would do, which is encourage Travis Hunter to stay with his fiancée and marry her. It sounds good.
Real.
Yeah, no, that's
the real work.
Yeah.
And so I'm working on that before I get into that.
Yeah.
And I feel like me coming in open-minded, without all of these conditions in compartmentalizing like I did in my younger days when I was engaged, coming in with these conditions. If this happens, I'm done. Well, baby, you already done.
Babe, listen, because something's going to happen.
Them things is going to happen.
Yeah.
You're done.
No, that's real.
And if you have this fairy tale ideology, fairy tales end at some point.
That was me.
That was me.
For the longest. And I feel like Disney just kind of warped our minds, and I wanted that. And I dated a guy, and he goes, you just want this fairy tale and it does not exist. And I'm like, yes, it does. And he's like,
give it to me now.
Yes. And he's like, no, it does not. And I'm finally realizing it does not. And it's because after I hear people talk about their truths that have been married for so long, and I'm literally like idolizing their relationship. Like, that's what I want. That's what I want. And they tell me, no, honey, it was not all roses. It still isn't, but this is my person. So it's so true.
And you got to learn how to see in others what you want to see in them and what you want to experience. That has been one of my biggest blessings is, what do I want to experience with Crystal? So what lens do I have to see? I have to see that in her. Because I'm responsible for my experience.
Absolutely.
And in a marriage or a relationship, do I want to see my husband as having to be perfect so that I'm always having to find something I can criticize for? Or can I just accept him for being a man and say, that's my husband.
Yeah.
That's just the stuff, girl. Girl.
Right.
And I take them in doses sometimes. Right? How do we do that? And then the other thing is the Bible.
But ma'am, you got to get married, my sister. You're 42. Everything you're saying is fine. It sounds good, but you have to get married for anybody really to qualify what you're saying. Otherwise, it's all talk.
The Bible says marriage is for disciplined people.
You were just speaking on that, on the Breakfast Club. Yes.
And that's because I have to be disciplined enough to know also how to self-soothe when you're only at 60% of satisfying me. What do I do with that 40%?
60% of that. See, that's the thing. That's how I know you're not married. What do you mean 60% of satisfying you? Who comes up with that's marriage, man. You know, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down.
Do I self-soothe? Do I cheat? Do I ridicule you? Do I emasculate you? Does he disempower you? Does he have a side chick for the 40% you can't cover that he knew you couldn't cover when he first met you? You knew this when you got with this woman.
Right.
You knew this. Or when you become the mother of his
Maybe
children,
they didn't know.
how does he self-soothe while you're transitioning from mommyhood to duality of wife and mommy?
Yeah, because it's
They make relationships so hard. They're not that hard. You're a woman, I'm a man. You submit, I lead. It's not that hard. The problem is men have been told that they've got to play their part. They must play their part. And women have been told, well, you can deviate. You can deviate a little more. You can deviate a little more to the point where now there is no femininity. There's no cooking. There's no cleaning. It's just, well, I give you sex, so you should be happy. It doesn't work like that.
I hear it on both sides. Yes. Yeah.
You know, and I had my first fiance's mom. She was so amazing at this. When we first got engaged, she took me on this ride, girl, and she was like, "Okay, honey, I got to talk to you." And I'm like, "Okay." And she's like, "You know, I buy you lingerie for birthdays and Christmas. That's for my son," which I loved. I was like, "Okay." And she was like, "You know, and when y'all have your first kids, I just want you to know, now that hole down there may not work, but as a wife, you have other holes and you have a mouth."
His mom said that to you?
Let me tell you how genius though I thought that was. Because she was looking out for her son. She was saying she had been married about 40 years to his father at that time. As a married woman, she's saying, let me just tell you what has worked for us and possibly maybe the mistakes she might have made.
That's good, yeah.
And I just thought, wow, if more moms would have that real authentic conversation versus just, you know, honey, just get married and you know, ride off.
Okay, well, ma'am, why didn't you take her advice? Why didn't you get married?
On a horse in the midnight hours. That doesn't work. It's not that. No.
Right.
What do we do when I have this baby and he has needs and I can't deliver?
Yeah.
What are the alternatives? How do we communicate that? How
it's
do
not
I
that serious.
make sure that baby and father or husband both feel seen and loved? How do I communicate to him that my hormones are crazy and I need more reassurance?
Yes.
I'm not insecure, and if I am, so what?
Yeah.
Just tell him.
Help me in this. Yeah.
Just
I
tell
don't
him.
care what title you put to it. Then it's insecure. Then you really need to help me become more secure. I just birthed your baby.
Yeah.
What do we do in this
are
space?
all over the place. Yeah.
What does that look like?
I've seen
right?
Friends, male and female, like, and I've been on the receiving end of hearing both the woman, the wife, and the husband vent about those things, and I'm like, we need to understand her body's going through all these different changes, and then the guy's like the same thing, like, well, I mean, let me get some head or something. I'm like,
but look, can I ask you this? I mean, do you think that's too much for a man to ask for? You had a baby. I'm not saying the day you come out the hospital, right. But damn, I mean, a couple weeks into it, do you think it's too much for him to not demand it, but to say, baby,
I got some needs.
I'm struggling.
It's not that serious.
I mean, it's been 2 weeks and we used to have a really active sex life. I mean,
that's a lot.
Can I get some head?
Yeah. I don't think that's
in between. Is that too much?
No.
Or is that just adulting?
It's
and
adulting.
Him being vulnerable enough to say,
I got needs.
Yeah. And I'm not even thinking about stepping out on you.
But I need you to
hand job, mouth job, something. I mean, now I don't have any kids, so I say this now without motherless. Right. But my thing is like, absolutely. Hold on, give him 10 more minutes to feed. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let's go. But Crystal, but can you hurry up? I'm tired. Wait, and I'm dripping. Hold on. Let me wipe. I'm dripping rest in your hold on.
Listen, that is dedication.
Can you wipe while I suck? Wipe, baby, wipe. But that's teamwork.
That is teamwork.
What we're talking about here is teamwork. Because while he's on the road, I got needs.
Yeah, that's real.
While you're doing things, I need to be seen.
So
text me when you land. Ask me where I am. Bug me throughout the day.
I'm the same.
Diane Bryant, doctor, so-called, but you've never been married. I don't understand where you're coming from. Nobody understands. It sounds good, but once again, you haven't been married.
I want to be loved on. Love me like this. Don't love me like this.
Man!
Because if you love me like this, we got a problem. Love me like literally.
Now you're in my business. I need to get my business.
Okay? Both ways, y'all.
Yes.
In and out the bedroom. Love me like this.
Yes, that is hilarious. Oh my gosh. I love this. Yes. This is what I wanted to get into. Yes. So say that you're on a first date. What are some first date questions? Because me and Ashana and some of my girls, we've been talking about questions, the wildest questions that we've been asked and some turnoffs. What are some questions that you feel are important to ask on a first date when you're like, okay, this is going a good direction?
This is such an unpopular opinion, but when I say it, all the women tend to go, yes, sis, I feel the same way, but he said I was insecure. I always ask, how do you feel about your woman having your password to your phone or to your laptop and having full access? That's the first thing I want to know. Because again, being loved like this means we're orbiting. It means I have access. And I'm not allowing you to access my body if I can't access your shit. I'm not doing it. I have not and I won't. And so that's the first question. And
what are the answers?
Oh, I've had some men be like password to my phone. Like I just feel like, if you're going to.
So she's saying she would ask that on the first date, or you see, that's why you're 42 and you're single, ma'am. You would ask that on the first date?
Trust me, then you trust me, and you don't need to have access. And in my personal experience, I go red flag womanizer. Red flag womanizer. And womanizer just means you got something going on, you're manipulative, you're sneaky, you got something that you're not transparent about. I am not into honesty, I'm into transparency. I don't want to have to ask you 15 questions to get you to be honest with me. I like transparency. Baby, I was on my way home and I got an email from my ex-girlfriend and I forwarded it to you. This is what she said. Okay, Daddy, you hungry? I got dinner cooked. That's me. I don't want to have to ask you anything because I'm not the woman that's and because I'm not going to sneak and go through your phone, and I don't want it. I'm not going to try to learn your password. I need to make sure that I have full access because in my last relationship, I had full access, and I would sit with him in bed and be like, "Babe, let me see your phone real quick."
And they know, like,
and he would just go. Now sometimes, because I think he knew, like, okay. I think in his mind, knowing my personality, he was like, either she's doing it to flex her control. I'm just being transparent and being very accountable. Or like, babe, like how many times you need to look at my phone before you reassure? I'm just speaking real from what I felt a man would think, right? But he would always go right to the game. And sometimes I would joke and I'd be like, nervous? You nervous? And this is even like 2 years.
Okay, well, ma'am, why didn't you marry that man? What was wrong? This man was giving you what you wanted, which was control. Why didn't you marry that man?
Because then it would have been rock on my finger. We engaged. The wedding is like in 2 months. And he'd be like, you look at it anyways. I know you do. But he also had access to mine. And so if the phone rang up, well, if I'm in the shower, he'd go, your mama calling. So you looking to see who calls. Or sometimes I say, baby, text her back and tell her this, this and that. I did that for one or two things. One, I wanted him to text mama back. Right. But two, I wanted him to know I'm reassuring you too. And you can text back. You can respond. You have that access. You have that authority. You're my man. You're mine. We're getting married.
I love that.
And I'm transparent. And if there's something you see in there and we need to talk about and I need to shift, I'm willing to shift it. No big deal. But luckily, knock on wood, with both of my engagements, with full access, I've never ran into anything. I've never seen it. I mean, I've had access to Facebook pages, social media, but for me, that is my reassurance. And I like that type of access. And so again, on the first date, if a man is like.
So with both your engagements, you haven't ran into anything like that and you still didn't marry those men.
Now that ain't me. Then I don't just walk off the dinner. I mean, I'm mature, but I do understand that that's not my type of guy. And I've had men follow up like date number 2. And I say, look, I don't want to waste your time. I am a woman who's an access woman. And I just would never even be intimate with you if I can't access what's going on. Because if there is a disease, or if there is something coming from someone, it's in that phone. It's in that phone. And I'm not playing with my body. I'm not playing with my heart. And so I'm good.
I love that. With your engagements, and you are still a woman who wants to be loved, who aspires to be in a relationship. What kept you still wanting that? Because I know some people, when they've been engaged and maybe it didn't work out, that happened twice for you. What kept you saying, no, I still want love?
You know what's crazy, Chris? So, and I say this with all the compassion for the women who have been left. I think if I was the one being left, I probably would be on the other side of the emotion. I probably would maybe feel a little disempowered or kind of like, what am I not doing right? Or why me? But being that I was the one that was pursued, obviously, right? And I pursued back once I wanted them and asked, right? And chose back. And then I did the leaving and I called off both engagements or both weddings. As crazy as it sounds, it gives me leverage. It puts me in a position of power, not a power where I'm taking advantage.
Ma'am, the only thing though is that the power that you saying is giving you is left you at 42 years old with no man in sight. Is left you at 42 years old with nothing but a platform that says I can get on and I can talk about a relationship while admitting I had 2, 3, 4 great men and I called it off because it gave me leverage. And this is the woman who's giving this brother advice. How? I want to know how. Let's keep playing the tape. This is crazy.
A power of I did the leaving, so I'm still the woman who was desired, pursued. They still wanted the relationship when I left, and I didn't leave because they weren't great men. I left because they weren't my men forever, and I wasn't going to continue to be in a relationship, even with my last fiance, where I was fully taken care of. I didn't pay a bill, buy a grape. I made sure he had food. I was cooking. I was definitely fully submissive to whatever he needed, which I loved, by the way. I love that. I love that role, just so you men know. I love that submission role. So you can take care of me any day. But I still wasn't going to stay and allow him to take full care of me, right? Knowing that I didn't want to be with this man. I wasn't staying to use him. I wasn't staying to be taken care of. He didn't take care of me because I didn't have my own. I was a doctor already. I had my own money. I had my own reserves. And I also didn't need him to support me in the sense of once I left, he was giving me money to leave. No, when we left, we left. And my last text message to him was, I left the house. Thank you for taking such great care of me. I am so grateful for you. Continued blessings. And he texted me back and said, same to you. Thank you for everything. Continued blessings.
Wow.
It wasn't bitter. But I thanked him because what that man took care of us. I mean, like literally was a retired basketball player and was doing okay, but went and got a second regular job, Crystal, to make sure he can fit me into his world. And to me, that is just admirable, and when you see a man put in that much effort, my opinion is, I don't care how alpha you are, you peak your submissive. And that was my first time where I literally organically, my alpha was like doormat, and my submissive was like
you still didn't marry
and
him.
I fell in love with me probably more than he did, because I was like, oh, this soft, submissive woman she's everything. I love this. And anything he needed, he can come home at 12 from working out and he's like, I'm hungry. I'm like, what do you want? No problem. Put my little gospel music on, and I'm in that kitchen at 12 a.m. cooking, having a good time. So they do exist. But you just have to make sure that you're choosing what works for you.
At what point were you like, this amazing guy, he's doing all these amazing things, going the extra mile to get the extra job? What was it that you were like, this isn't my forever person? Because it sounds like a great guy.
This is where y'all gonna eat my ass up. And I'm okay with that, okay? I'm okay with that. I actually love myself. So I don't date men with kids.
Oh.
And he knew that when we first started dating. I obviously knew that he had 2 beautiful young adult daughters, but we still both continued to pursue each other and ended up in a relationship, ended up loving each other and engaged. And we would sit in bed, Crystal. We'd have the most amazing day. Things would be good. And I would just lay in bed and I say, babe, at night, I'm like, baby. He's like, yep. I'm like, I'm having those feels again. And he's like, what? And I'm like,
are you worried that using your home address for business puts your privacy at risk? At iPostal One?
I love that we're a family, because we were like, the girls would come and we'd have dinner. I'd cook, and so, but I'm like, I love our family unit. It's not your girls at all. They did nothing derogatory to the relationship. I mean, he made it a breeze. There was no baby mama drama. I never even met their mamas. The oldest daughter would talk to me about her mom and some concerns they would have, and I would totally facilitate it, be open. I would work out with his girls, eat with, I mean, it was never them. And even after we broke up, me and his daughter, she still kept in contact. So, but I said that to say, I would say, it's not you, it's not them, it's me. My spirit isn't letting me go against my values of what I don't want. I come from a father who has 6 of us by 5 different women. And since I can remember speaking and thinking, I used to say, Daddy, I love all my siblings, but I don't like that you did this with 5 women. And I don't want that. And my ex-fiance had 2 beautiful girls by 2 different women.
So you were seeing the
and my dad was like, baby,
remember what you said.
And I know you think he's different because it's 2. He's not.
Wow. Ooh,
he's not.
Daddy.
He's not. So I told you, you know, we had this agreement. And I was like, but Daddy takes care of me and he loves me and we're good. And my dad was like, baby,
wow,
I'm telling you, hold off on the wedding, hold off. And so we had these conversations. And when I learned that there was nothing he could do to shift how I felt in here, and it wasn't his responsibility to shift me, I had to be authentic and really show my love for him and say, I can't be married and have kids and this continue to be this burden on us. And you try to facilitate it. And through a lot of those spaces, it would cause some conflict. And he wasn't always able to have the emotional intelligence needed to totally facilitate us through certain things. And so I started saying, you know, well, what if when I am pregnant, we're married and I'm pregnant, and I'm having these moments and he's not able to facilitate me. He's shutting down for 4 or 5 days and we're in the house together. And mind you, he was 14 years older than me. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, which most of us think, older man, the maturity is going to be there. He can facilitate this. That's not an age thing. That's just an experience and wisdom thing. And to his defense, you know, I believe he tried his best to, but when it came to us having friction, the second part of it was he was still very into that unemotional intelligence where, girl, we go 5 days without talking in the same house.
Oh, no.
And I said, baby, I can't be married like this.
That don't work.
So 2 things. It was duality of you have these beautiful girls who have nothing to do with my decision. It's all my values and what I want. And the other thing is you're not able to problem solve and bring resolve quick enough in this house. And I want peace.
Now, do you think that if he didn't do the whole I can go 5 days without talking to you, do you think you could have maybe let having the kids slide? Because you love the girls, they love you, clearly still have a great relationship with them. Is that something that maybe if that was strong and the communication and maturity was there, that you could have kept that relationship going?
I think no. I think God would have found a gentle way like he did in this relationship to sever it because God knows my heart. And like you said, I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you and give you a good life. And I know that he knows a good life.
Here she goes again, putting it on the Most High. Ma'am, so are you saying it's the Most High's plan for you to be 42 with no kids? Is that what you're saying? Because you walked away from 2 engagements from guys that you said were exactly the way you wanted. So what is the issue? And the problem that I have is that you're getting online, giving people advice, and the advice that you're giving people isn't lining up with your life. Let's play the tape.
For me, is me, my husband, and our babies. And he God built me, so he knows how he built my little territorial self. And he knows that I don't want to look across the room and see my husband. As selfish as it may sound for others, for me, it's not selfish. It's me. It's. I don't want to look across the room and see my husband engaging, interacting with someone else's child. That's not mine. The second thing is, I'm a type of woman that if I'm with a man with kids, I'm fully invested. Those kids will be treated no different than my kids. I will love and invest in them like they're mine. And just like when I called off the wedding, I left. He got to keep the family. I left as a single woman, having to go create my own family. So that's an investment a lot of women and men make where.
Okay, but you left this man and you said you had to go create your own family, but you're still 42 with no kids and you're not married. This is what's mind-boggling. What family, ma'am, did you create? Is the question, is what people want to know.
They're coming in and being stepmom or stepdaddy. And if that relationship ends, those kids are not yours. It's very rare that those kids roll with you. When mom or dad gets another relationship, guess what?
Yeah.
It's the next step, mommy or daddy. So where did the return on your investment go?
Right. Yeah. So I want to ask you this because as we get older, the chances of having children and like it gets less and less and less. Have you ever had thoughts of like, dang, like, you know what I'm saying? I want this thing, but is this even possible the longer I wait for this man who doesn't have children? I used to have that was one of my ultimatums. I was like, I don't want anybody to get kids. Like I was in college saying that, and
we might be kindred sisters over here. Hold on, let me find out.
Right. I used to think like that, and I don't know if it was my mom or a friend of mine, someone. I was in college and I was like, I do not want anybody that has kids. I just saw the baby mama drama and I did not want that. Like you, my father has 4 kids by 4 different women.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but my father is an incredible dad. And someone had to point that out to me. What an amazing father my dad is. And could you not love someone who has children? That changed my mindset and perspective on dating a man with children.
Wow.
Because of how amazing my dad was, how he honored my mother with the other women to make sure she never felt inferior or that there was still anything going on. Because you have those issues too. So I changed my mind on that. But as a woman, and we're getting older, how do you wrap your mind around I'm still holding on to wanting to date somebody who doesn't have kids when that opportunity for us naturally is fleeting?
2 things. One, I've dated, my first fiance had no kids. Look how good God is. He gave me all the experience to choose. My first fiance had no kids. My second one had kids. 2 totally different men.
Yeah.
The relationship with no kids is more the relationship for me. Regardless. And so through my experiences, I know the no kid guy, that's my guy. I'm able to be fully open, fully present with him. That's my thing. I just have to have that. That's a non-negotiable. The second thing is, faith is an action word. And, I was a little girl in the inner city, a product of 2 parents who were teenagers. My mom was addicted to the drug that my father sold. And she's now sober, thank God. She's killing the game. VP of my company, got her own business. She's just doing her thing. And my father has transitioned. Last year he passed away, but before he passed away, he was a family man. He was a longshoreman, he was working. So he transitioned out that lifestyle. I say that to say that God took a little girl in the inner city with abandonment issues and took my broken pieces and made peace from me. He took a little girl in the inner city and took me from the hood to the hills. And there hasn't been one promise he hasn't kept or doubled down on. And so when I had that conversation with God, he checks me and he says, I'm confused. How much more do I need to do for you to trust that what you want will prevail? How much more do I need to do for you to understand that maybe it's your career that I need you to do right now? Because if you have that husband, the type of woman that you are that loves the way you love, you might just put this career aside. And I know how.
Okay, so let me get this straight, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. You're saying the Most High told you, in essence, to put your career before a husband, a covering, a helpmeet. That's what you want us to believe, that he's telling you, put that to the side, that union to the side that I established, which is the most important thing to mankind. Put that to the side and put your career first. Ma'am, I'm sorry, but he doesn't move like that. He doesn't operate. He doesn't even operate like that. But we're going to listen to your words.
How you are. And so let me do what I do if you're going to be in my will. And because of my faith in him and the way he shows up every day, I would be completely dishonoring him and myself, completely disrespecting God and myself to believe or disbelieve that the desires of my heart won't come to pass. And so I'm that woman. I understand Abraham and Sarah. I'm not saying I want to wait till I'm 80, but what happened with Sarah? She wanted a baby and she wasn't bearing.
Sis, ma'am, see, this is when you reach a point of delusion. When you reach a point of delusion as a woman who's 42 with no kids and who's never been married, and you start to biblically tap into Abraham and Sarah, ma'am, please, in all of your delusion, don't use that testament. Don't use that part of the scripture to make yourself feel good. Because at the end of the day, you're 42 with no kids giving advice to married people, to single people, as to how it is that you can be successful, but you're not showing any types of success as it pertains to marriage, as it pertains to anything. This is the advice you're giving right here. Travis Hunter to stay with his fiance and marry her, even though they're showing pictures of this woman who used to be a stripper. Let's listen to you, ma'am. You need to be counseled. You need counseling yourself.
Right? And Abraham was 80, and she said, "We're going to have a baby with the maid." Yeah. And as soon as he got the maid pregnant, Sarah ended up pregnant. Yeah. And God said, "You just couldn't wait a little longer." And then when the maid got pregnant, Sarah said, "Get rid of this." Excuse my language, but she got to go because now I'm bearing your child. And Abraham was such a G and such a good man. And Sarah, he told the maid, "Good day." God had a conversation with the maid in the desert and said, "Listen, you go back because you don't know who you carrying. Baby. Yeah. You go back. You carrying what Sarah was supposed to carry because Sarah couldn't wait for me." I love that. Baby, listen.
See, this is the issue with the church that has messed our people up to the point to where we have a 42-year-old woman with no kids to make herself feel as though she has time, to make herself feel as though she can continue to have a standard at 42 with no kids, that she will pull a scripture out of a book which talks about Abraham and Sarah, and she will make it applicable to her life as if it can happen the same way for her. Ma'am, Abraham and Sarah was married. I can understand if you was married and didn't have no kids at 42, but you got to first, one, get married, two, then have a kid.
Ain't no maid finna be pregnant with my blessing. Yeah. I refuse. And I believe and trust that when it's right, it'll happen. Yeah. And I really know that is what allows me not to react or be in despair when I'm dating. Yeah. That's what gives me the verticalness of being able to stand vertical in what I want and not waver in it, because God's like, what you want to do? Because you're going to get your blessing either way. Yes. You either going to get it after the maid gets it, or you going to wait and have what you want. And guess what? I'll wait. That's so I'll wait.
So something similar to that. I was on the Dear Future Wifey with Latarius Whitfield, and he asked me about having children. I love him, by the way. I know. Isn't he amazing?
Latarius, I love you.
Yeah, shout out Latarius. And he was asking me about having children. I said, I'm so sick of people saying, like, I feel like as a woman women in our 40s, it is the most annoying question is, when you gonna have some babies? You know, and I told him, I said, I'm tired. My answer is just stay out of my uterus. Like I have a friend that literally DMs.
Why, ma'am? Both of you ladies are beautiful. You're 42. Why naturally wouldn't somebody ask you about kids? Why wouldn't they ask? See, the beautiful thing about being a woman is you can do something that nobody else can do other than you, which is to give birth. And it's uncommon for you to be 42 and not have, as beautiful as you both are, it's uncommon for you not to have kids. So when people are asking you about kids, it's because it's unnatural for you to be your age, knowing that you can have kids, and you're doing this right here. You're giving advice. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant encourages Travis Hunter to stay with his. What you should be worried about having kids, man, because I guarantee at the end of your life, if you haven't kicked out any kids, you're going to feel as though something about you didn't add up. Simple as that.
Me like every few months, have you frozen your eggs yet? Have you frozen your eggs yet? I'm like, oh my gosh, seriously. And I told him, I said, I'm in a space now where I've waited too late. I went to the doctor and she was like, it's too late to freeze your eggs because you don't want to freeze them and then only one may survive. And she said, so at this point, you just try to get pregnant naturally. And I was like, okay. And same, I used the Abraham and Sarah analogies exactly like you did. And I said, you know what, where I am and where my faith is, if it's meant to be, it will happen, you know, and it's going to be a healthy pregnancy. The baby's going to be healthy and live a great life, but I can't put that pressure on myself.
Yeah.
But I do feel like because of the same way, I literally said this, we may be twin, where have you been? Because I told a friend, I said, you know, I used to pray like, God, I have everything, but this one component, like, why am I missing the love? Like, I want somebody to share this beautiful life with. And I'm telling you, I would like sit in my room and be really sad, walk into this big, beautiful home, sad to not have anyone to share it with.
I would say the big home for feeling homeless.
Baby, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there and I was like, but I was like, God literally said, if I brought you that, I know how you are. I'm always like, what you need? How can I help? And I would have been putting so much into that person that I would have let my career go by the wayside. That would have been, and I look back at relationships, I'm like, dang.
There they both go, talking about the same thing. You notice they're saying, if I would have put such and such into a man, I would have let my career go. But now look at both of them. They're sitting on a couch. They're in their 40s, no husband, no kid. And they're dwelling on the fact that, wait a minute, I had to choose my career over my husband. No, you didn't. You're not even supposed to choose. Get married. What did the scripture say? Since you want to quote scriptures, a man that findeth a wife finds favor. So automatically you find a husband, you're going to tap into the favor. A husband doesn't stop you from having a career. It doesn't. That don't even sound right to say that if I got a husband, I'm going to give up a career. And if I got a career, these are the women that younger women are listening to.
I wonder what it would have been like. It wouldn't have been like this.
Right.
You know, because there's amount of energy that you have to put into your career to get to the level that you want to get to. So I'm with you on that. That's good.
Yeah, and I'm a wait. God blesses the bold, and He blesses at the level of our belief.
He
right?
does.
And so anything that we want, I feel like once we pray, and every thought and every word's a prayer. Prayer is not just this. I feel like it goes out into the download system, and it sits there waiting for our belief to align with it. When our belief aligns with it, it downloads. And I was poking at God more like, I think maybe about 10 years ago or so. And I was like, why are you taking so long? You know, and I'm not gonna lie, I was actually mad at him. I was mad. And I said, I'm mad at you. And he's like, well, let's talk about it.
Right.
I want to talk to you because I'm mad at you. He's like, well, woman, I created you, so I know exactly what to say.
Yes.
To get you to talk to me. And I was like, you do. And so we, had this conversation, and he said, what have I told you to trust me? That I know where I'm going with this, and that I know your heart. I know the plans. And I said, I commit to trusting you.
Yeah.
And he said, listen, you've always said that you didn't want to be, I always use Kobe Bryant because I love him. One of my favorite players, rest in peace. You always said you didn't want to be Kobe Bryant's wife. You wanted to be Cheyenne Bryant, who's married to Kobe Bryant.
Wow.
He says, so let me establish you. And you know what it says, right? It says, those who wait upon the Lord will renew their strength.
Yes.
He said, I will establish you and make you perfect.
And
You'll mount up on wings like eagles. You're walking, not get weary. You're running, not faint. Baby, I'm doing all those things. I better say,
right now you're doing all that.
Those things. And I'm more vertical and more healthy than I've ever been. I told my best friend about a month ago, I said, girl, I'm the healthiest I've ever been. And I'm not just talking about like, because I got, money and confidence. This is before even all this viral shit even happened. I was like, girl, I'm the healthiest I've never felt so full. And I want to tell the women, my prayer was, God, okay, if you're going to have me wait, no problem, but can we negotiate? And he said, what? Because he knows how I am. He's like, what, woman? I said, can you just fill me up, top me off, as though I already have the husband, as though I already have the kids, so that the despair and in the turmoil doesn't cause a conflict where I can't show up in your will. Oh, I want to show up full for you. And he said, bet, you got a deal. And I'm not playing. I have been filled up and topped off as though the husband and the kids, I've been so full, so full. And this has been for the past maybe 3 or 4 years, I just been full. And so I don't feel the lack of there not being a presence of my husband and my kids. I'm on full. So by the time the husband does get here, I'm choosing again from my fullness. I'm not choosing from my deficit.
That's good.
And God will do it. I'm telling you, anything you ask.
Oh, he will. I'm a living witness.
He'll do it. And so, you know, to your point, it's funny the doctor told you were too old. The doctor been telling me, let's freeze your eggs. You have 8 follicles over here and you have 11 follicles over here. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But see, and then that's what I mean by just people going to get expert advice on certain things. It's like, you got to get a second, third opinion.
Yeah. And that's
because, right. And I haven't frozen, but my doctor's like, you're 42. I'm like, I know. Freeze. You got follicles. I'm like, I know.
And then, but even that process, people don't talk about how hard that is on the body, going through that. It's a lot.
The
and then
hormone
you're so
shots,
busy.
They have to put your body in the phase as though you are.
We don't talk about that. And everyone's like, just go freeze your eggs. I'm like, you go, like, you want me to, that's a whole process that I have to put my body through while I'm still trying to function.
You to see the eggs are pulling out. Yes, it is.
It's a lot. And
I know. You know what? So if I do decide to do it natural without, I ain't frozen eggs yet, but I do know that I told God, you know, we'll see if God aligns with my plan. He usually does it, but I tried it. I did say by the end of next year, I want to be in a place of where I'm doing the do with someone who is going to be my forever do. And we're just in our baby making season. But I told God, I don't want it until it's on his time. But to sustain me, keep me topped off, because I love it here. I love it here. So I'm like, God, keep it here. And it's easier for me to stay directly in your will.
I love that. It seems like one of your non-negotiables, which is having a man who has children, kind of also is in direct line with the broken homes that you talk about. And I saw you first. My first introduction to you was on Cam Newton's show, and you talked about broken homes and broke that down to him. What was it that you saw with your father in your childhood that made you say, hey, I do not want to repeat this? And then also, what are some things that we can communicate just to help communicate better about that, so that we can try to, I know it's going to be hard to like stop because it's so deeply rooted, but what are some things that we can help our Black families understand how we can break this cycle?
Yeah, I love that. Similar to your father, my dad was just the daddy of the year. You know, he was, again, a street dude. And so I'm a product of a street dude. And he's, at that time when I was young. So, you know, he was providing for sure. We had the street money.
Listen.
He was definitely protecting, because he was a very well respected OG in his neighborhood. And so the provision, the protection was there, but he was a womanizer. He always had multiple women. He didn't hide that to me or my siblings. He wasn't the daddy who would, you know, hide his hand, but tell you something else. He was very transparent. And what I love most about him is he would always tell me, if a man looks like me, speaks like me, smells like me, does anything like me, no, red flag, do not date him. It's a no, and you damn sure better not bring him home, because somebody will end up dead or in jail. Don't do it. And I stuck to that. But I remember there was one time I was dating a guy, and he was a street guy, and I really was liking him, and I was like, "Ooh, daddy," you know. And he did give me the daddy vibes, meaning my daddy vibes. And I remember my dad seen a picture and was like, "No." And my dad called me every day, Crystal, for 2 weeks, 2 or 3 times a day. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. Of course, I got rid of him. But it wasn't because my dad said it. It's because my dad was right. He was right. And so for me, I just feel like when you start to create all these houses that are homeless, I think it's a self-projection of men who are overcompensating for what they've been missing. I think that they are projecting onto all these houses, which is a whole generation of kiddos and women, their mommy issues, their daddy issues, and their own inadequacies. I think it's unfair to the kids. And no matter how good of a father you are, just like your father, you can't be in the home with all of us.
No.
And so I'm not waking up on Christmas morning with you. I'm still having to either travel to you, right, or you to me. And it's just unfair to all the other kids. There's 7 of us, and we're all, you know, close for the most part. My sister, who is not, she's my father's daughter. She's not my mother's daughter. She's at my home now with my mom, staying there because she lives in Vegas, but she has a new job in LA. And she calls my mom Mama. My mom cooks for her. My mom cleans behind her. My mom packs her lunch to go to work, Crystal. My mama, they go get massage. When they FaceTime me, it's her and mama. And so I love this. This is where the oxymoron comes on.
Yes, the blended family.
I love that it's 7 of us, and I love that I'm the oldest. And I love that my mama is the mama to all of them.
Yeah.
But I tell my mom, you have to be built a certain way to do that. And she always says, yeah, but I was the first baby mama.
That's what I'm the OG.
And I said, that's right, mama. She said, if I wasn't the first, I wouldn't have did it, Shy. She said, so mama agrees with you. Go get you a man. Like I thought I had with your dad, where there's no kids and start your own family. She said, all I wanted was a family. Didn't know he was going to go out and, and have multiple kids. Right. So I just feel like it's a disservice to everybody who's involved until everyone gets to a place of maturity and becoming older, and we're able to process how do we blend and how do we all equally get our love and our time with this parent. Yeah.
That's right. I love that. So I get it. I totally understand why you do that. You are the president of the NAACP.
I am.
And we just had an election.
Yeah.
I also worked on Capitol Hill.
Yay!
So yes.
Girl, yes.
So I'm really big into politics. And I just spoke at North Carolina Central University.
Come on now.
And the students there were saying that the morale on campus is so low right now.
Sure.
Everyone was really pulling for Kamala to win. And now we are faced with our future and what it could be. And everybody is really in a low place. What are some tips that you could give our community just kind of help us navigate this? Because it's so fresh right now.
Yeah, I love that question. I'm truly honored to be the NAACP president of in Los Angeles for, I think it's been like 12 years now. I was like the youngest.
12 years?
I was the youngest
amazing.
President to come in my city and in my branch.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was the first woman. We had all male leaderships who did a great job before me, by the way.
Yeah.
But I just happened to come in and continue to do their great work.
Yeah.
But I think most importantly is the messages to Kamala is that, sis, you ran the best election you could run. But I think that her leadership can't stop with this loss of the election. I think that she has to still mobilize our people. I think she should still be speaking to us as a leader. I think she should still be putting together different not policies, but different call of actions for us as a community to continue to be inspired. Leadership doesn't stop when you take an L.
Yeah.
Leadership continues if you're really in it for the right reasons. I know she didn't show up at Howard HU, which is her, her alumni, to address those kids and people who supported her. I didn't think that was a good leadership characteristic. I'm just going to say it, even though, I supported Kamala, I voted for her. I just think that wasn't a good leadership role for her to take. And then she sent a Black man out there to do her job. To me, that reinforced the people who aren't ready to have a woman president and a Black woman president that says, look, she sent a man out there to do her job. Wow. You see, and so that's the rhetoric, like right? But I think that conversation, I think that people like yourself, people like me, you don't need a title to be a leader. You don't need education to be a leader. If you feel passionate about something, you are a leader. Take that passion, create a committee, create a group, start the conversation, and really start to try to mobilize people around what you're passionate about within your community. And then join your local NAACP branches. Join another organization that you feel is Black, brown, minority that can push some things out. And I think it's important that we continue to do that. And more than that, though, Crystal, I feel like as a community of Black people, not Republicans or Democrats, but Black people, we need to become strategic. Listen, I must go there. White people are very strategic in their politics. They're very strategic in their business ticks.
Yes.
So they are planning things out. Trump appointed a Superior Court judge 4 years ago,
sure did,
who was pardoning him 4 years later for all of his felons. He had someone write up qualified immunity for him as a president. I mean, that's all strategy.
Yes.
We have to become a very strategic community and not just a very here and now what's going on now. We got to start to strategize. Well, who's the next young councilwoman or man who's Black that's going to run for our local cities? Who's going to be our next Black Senate? Because we also didn't take the House or the seats. Who is going to be the person who's going to run for president? I always joke and say it might be me in 4 years, but it might be a joke, not a joke. I might have a belly on baby number 2, and a husband by then running for office. And I told y'all on the Krista Renee show that I was going to run. Vote for me. But we got to figure out. And then when, say Kamala, she didn't get an office.
Family, she means that. She means that. Before I end, I want you to know she means that. If she was to, in 4 years, get into office, she would be pregnant, try to get married, and still do all these things because in her mind, her career is her husband. Her career comes before a husband. Her career comes before a family. Her career comes before anything. She's married to her career. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been the show. You've been tuning in to TWID Twisting for That's What I Do. Till next time, peace.